You said you were going to.
Discipline. Selfish.
No joke. We're legitimate.
Then do it. Do it 100% because I'm trying to.
We recognize that we are limitless.
You got to be a champion to become a champion, right? Winning is a habit because we create habits that lead to good execution and success.
Happy New Year, everyone. This is episode 98 of the Coaches Show, our first show of 2026. I'm Coach Mike Bianca of the Atlanta Jungle Cats, and with me, as always, is my friend and co-host, the real brains of the operation, Coach Ryan Gray of Red Legion. We have a great one in store for you this evening. By the way, Ryan, we need a new intro. All right, tonight we are joined.
Yo, you're just going to skip right over that Atlanta Jungle Cats thing. Congratulations.
Well, thank
this
you
is the first show we've had since you made your announcement. So I don't know that anybody's like super shocked, but congratulations.
Right. Well, I thank you very much, my friend. I greatly appreciate it. It's going to be an interesting year, and I'm really looking forward to it. But we do have a great show in store for you this evening. Tonight, we're joined by what can arguably be said as a legend of our game. He started playing paintball in 95, went pro in 02 with the Bushwhackers under another legend by the name of Ron Kilborn. He went on to play for Aftershock, San Diego Dynasty. Then he founded San Diego Aftermath. Besides Aftermath, the guy's coached Dynasty, Ironmen, Diesel, the Bears, and he's played a key role in the development of several elite players in the professional division today. He owns and runs the WCPPL and the US XBL, and now he coaches the newest team in the Major League Paintball Professional Division, Los Angeles Collision. It's our pleasure to host our friend, Mr. Mike Hinman, tonight, so can't wait for that. We'll talk to him about his latest journey to the pro division, the Collision roster, his approach to coaching, and some philosophies heading into this year, as well as his expectations for the upcoming season. So settle in and enjoy what is sure to be a great show. All right. The Coaches Show is brought to you by our awesome sponsors, Maxt Sportswear. Get your deals done before the start of the new season. Contact Charles ASAP at Maxt Sportswear and have your team looking fresh for the season. Get maxed. BKI, the best knowledge in paintball. Sign up at bkipaintball.com and start learning from the pros this very instant. Don't forget the BKI Combine is coming up the end of this month, actually. Just a few spots left, so don't miss out on that opportunity. Real quick, the Summit Awards will be live at the first event of the year in Tampa. I want to thank all of you and everyone out there in paintball podcast land. The Coaches Show was nominated for Best Podcast. We're honored to be mentioned in the same breath as PTG, Spick and Span, Shelda, and In the Pits. If you voted for us, thank you, and thank you. All right, Ryan, anything you want to add?
No, it was great. You covered it. You did a fantastic job, sir.
I greatly appreciate that. I love winning.
Yeah, New Year's, same me, pal.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. A new year, new me.
I saw the picture.
Not sure if anyone saw that AI generated debauchery of my image. It was ridiculous. But no, I'm not getting gold teeth. No, I'm not going to wear a tracksuit, even though my daughter's trying to get me to do it. It's not happening.
I think you should do both of those things. Yeah, both of those things. And Joey DiPolito. Yeah, Joey DiPolito says need to get a Jungle Cat banner back there. Yes, he needs one for sure. For sure.
Well, we do. Wasn't that in the contract, Joey? Along with that bottle of Blanton's. I'm still waiting on that too.
So a couple of moves, right, that have happened since we've last gotten together. Probably the biggest one, Tom Guest moving back to San Antonio X Factor.
Right.
Big hit for the Ironman, huge addition to an already ridiculously talented roster that San Antonio X Factor has. Ryan Brand has done an amazing job curating that roster. Like, I was trying to think about where somebody like Tom would play with them. You know, they're missing TJ Danner at World Cup, literally don't skip a beat, still look like, you know, X Factor just doing what X Factor does. And now to add Tom, you know, again, Ryan's just going to be able to kind of flip and flop and move guys around in a pretty creative way. So big move there. Obviously, you joining the Atlanta Jungle Cats, huge coaching move for them. Really exciting for those young guys. Hopefully, it works out, right?
Yeah.
And again, we were just talking about
the green room. Mike and I were talking about this in the green room. You were getting your headphones, and I'm like, I leave the Hurricanes and they get money. I leave Dynasty and they get money. So I might get a year with the Cats before they decide they want some money. And there it goes. But no, obviously you mentioned, I think the Tom Guest thing, to your point, Ryan Brand, he is anytime you add that kind of depth, right. And he's got depth everywhere. And I think, that's going to make them so dangerous this year. It's going to be exciting to watch. You talked about the Jungle Cats. Obviously Russian Legion just added Corey Hall. And that's interesting for me. I can't wait to see how you guys adapt Corey, because, you have a very specific, and I don't want to use the word style, but I will say approach. Right.
No, I think style is a good way to say it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And it's going to be fascinating to see how Corey fits into that, and how either you adapt him or he brings a different type of aspect to it. So it should be like acts as an anchor, or maybe he does become that missile. We'll see.
Well, we kind of talked about this in the green room as well, like on layouts where the middle just becomes impossible to get into once the setup is there. We have struggles, right? Because we're a 3-prong attack, right? We want to be able to attack into the middle. We want to be able to attack down the edges. We had for sure 2 layouts this year that no matter how far you got down the sides, you still couldn't attack into the middle of the field. So a guy like Corey adds a good element for us where we can move Kirill back if needed, and then put Corey as that secondary attacker on the Dorito side behind Pavel. And so it does create opportunities for us as a coaching staff to kind of move things around a little bit more if we have those kind of layouts. If not, we do get Sergey back as well, which really also just adds that needed depth, right? Jamison Stanton's really close to being, to having some meaningful opportunity in that first line. We saw Danny multiple times this year contribute at a high level. So really, that normal set of 5 guys that we've been playing, we could be looking at a Red Legion line that has really 8 solid rotating players playing at that, again, if we can keep the tempo right for us in that 90-second range, and that's good for everybody as we get into Sunday paintball, right?
Right. Absolutely. I love it. I think it's fantastic. So,
So also Mark Johnson, who else? Mark
goes
2
to
other guys that went.
Jesse Stevens,
and the kid from
Jared Lackey.
Jared Lackey all moved to the Aftershock camp as well. Aftershock adds 4 young guys from their semi-pro line, so kind of a brand new look for them.
Yeah. So Nick Sloviak's in the chat. Yes. This is an inside joke with Nick and I asked him how his travel budget was, because perhaps the Jungle Cats could use some additional depth. It's certainly some height. Right. All my guys are short. I need some height.
Nick would be a nice vet for you to have. Absolutely. You've got a couple, but 100%. He would certainly be a good one.
I love it.
So we won't talk about the other ones, right? Because we're going to bring the guy in who's made those moves. So
that's right.
We'll let him kind of talk about it. Welcome.
Hey, boys.
Mr. Mike Hinman, man. We're doing great, man. It's good to see you. It's always good to see my friends and talk kind of shop like this. And then we just do it with an audience. Crazy.
I'm glad to be on, man. It's always an honor to be on the show with you guys.
Thank you. Yeah, that's we're obviously just rocking back and forth on our clown shoes most of the time, listening to the smart people talk.
Right. Same
so
as
it
me.
makes it makes it easy for us for sure. So just let's kind of dig right into it, because you've been kind of in and out of the pro league your entire career, in multiple different ways as a coach, as an owner, obviously as a high level professional player. So when you went away the last time, I kind of felt like, all right, maybe Mike is done sort of owning teams and that kind of thing. And then we see this sort of shift last year. Now, LA Collision, and I'll let you kind of talk about this, but it's a brand that's been around for a really long time. I just don't think most young players have any understanding of the history. So do you want to give us a little bit of that story?
Yeah, I mean, last year, obviously, I was with David and all the guys. The year before that, at the final WCPL, David was there. We have a premier division, which is kind of semi-pro-ish. You're allowed as many semi-pros plus one pro guy. David was there. Collision's always played in that regional league with multiple teams, you know, Division 4, 3, all the way up to Premier. And David had asked me in the offseason if I could help him just herd the cats, get the blueprint nailed down on the West Coast. And David's like a brother, right? Like good friend of mine. And when he asked, it was like, of course I will. And in that offseason, there was some, you know, issues on Aftermath. When I had stepped back, I had given the pro team to Wayne and the guys at ASG, you know, with the leagues, life, businesses. I was just busy. And kind of like we talked about before we started the show, you know, it's tough for a lot of guys that own teams when you've got players with their hand out all the time, expecting big paydays. And from the ownership point of view, probably don't put enough in to justify astronomical numbers, right? Like, I mean, you're part of the Legion. You hear some of the numbers at the top, and it's a lot of money, right? Yeah. And then you have guys that, in my opinion, and again, my opinion and the players' opinions can both live in the same place, right? It's just a different perspective looking at the same thing. For me, it's just tough to justify spending hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars for guys that just struggle to say thank you. You know what I mean? So for me, I was definitely burnt out. We were heading to Texas with the USXBL, driving back and forth from California. Wayne had stepped in. His son, Cody Woodruff, played on the team and asked, you know, he didn't want us to sell it and the spot to leave. So I just gave it to him. I said, you guys can have it. Part of the agreement was when I came back that, you know, the spot would always be mine. Obviously I didn't get that offer when I came back, but so be it. And David and Collision, you know, David was part of that Aftermath team. Him and Wayne, just not a disagreement, just went different directions, right? And David started up the semi-pro Collision team with some of the Aftermath guys that are David's guys, if you will, like Ethan Castro, guys like that. And they asked me to help out. And I think, like all of us, I don't think, you know, the division means as much to me personally. Like you said, I've been in and out of the pro division. It just doesn't mean that much to me, to be honest with you. I mean, I respect it. I respect the game. I respect the league. I respect all the things that the people that have built pro paintball into what it is. It's just, that's one facet of the game and my life in paintball. I mean, I run SC Village's tournament side. Tracy and I, that's a business 52 weekends out of the year we run. You know, now we're in 3 regions with the league. So there's a lot of moving parts. And at that point, it was just better for me to step back because, like you guys know, it's hard to be 1 foot in, 1 foot out as a coach. And a lot of us as coaches also wear that general manager hat too, right? Of getting players. And there's a lot of off the field stuff going on. And it's impossible and tough to win in the NXL Pro Division as is. If you're not 100% in on it, good luck. Yeah. Right? Like there's 19 other teams that will take it right from you, you know, and that's the game we play. So for me, that's kind of the direction we went. And then just the ball rolling and, you know, throughout the season, we got second overall for our first season. It was decent, right? But there was just a learning curve to it through the season. Like the Jungle Cat or BR guys showed up in Tampa, just the most defined semi-pro team there was last year, right? And they were consistent all the way through last year too, to be fair, right? There's a lot of good teams in semi-pro, but they're the most consistent, great team coming through there. So for us, we were second, and, you know, we kind of knew going into the off season there was going to be some turnover in the pro division, right? I don't think we all realized it was going to come as quick as it did, right? Sunday before the sun was down at World Cup, we were all aware.
It was wild.
Right. We were aware of heat, right?
Yeah.
And again, there's never any shots at anybody, right? If I had
no.
Like, I'll let somebody know. But like, we didn't see that one coming. You know, there was a lot of outside people. We knew the Tauntauns thing was going to be an issue with FSU, not with Mark, just funding, right? Diego again. Were they going to have the money? So there was a spot. None of us knew if Leverage was going to sell, which thank God those guys are keeping their spot. but we kind of knew there was going to be some spots for sale. So with Collision, we're still going to be a semi-pro team next year, and hopefully second place this year becomes first place next year, right? But if a spot became available, that was definitely on the drawing board too. And that was a roller coaster ride to get that deal finalized, because then Tom Ford is going to Dynasty and his spot's for sale. And man, they could be a whole episode of laughter on the behind the scenes that happened for us to get our spot. I'm pretty sure half of these gray hairs on my bald head came from this offseason.
That's fantastic.
And the craziest part, our team did not, David and I knew, Tracy knew, but beyond that, nobody in our team knew until the deal was done. It was 20 minutes to the release going out, and it got put in the team chat hey, we're going pro this year. Because it was literally, oh, we got a spot. We don't got a spot. We do got a spot. Oh, he's reneging on his word. Oh, now he's back to it. It was, again, a whole nother comedy-filled short bus episode of the backdoor inner workings of paintball politics. But and now here we are with the pro spot, and it's an interesting offseason, right? Every year we think it's going to be a crazy offseason, and this has been a crazy offseason. But I think for the teams that are coming into it, there's not just one. It's not just us buying one and the Jungle Cats earning one. There's multiple teams coming in. There's multiple rebuilds coming down, right?
Oh, yeah.
Paintball's not – I always say this, right? We could go into full World War III in our world, and I think paintball would still be going on. So paintball's never going anywhere is my point. But every year it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. This year, I think we can all agree maybe the bar got lowered a little bit with the amount of new teams coming in, because it's just difficult to expect teams that haven't played in the pro division to be Sunday pro teams. Everybody's first year of pro has got to be don't get relegated, right? And then from there, try to build wins into multiple wins into Sundays.
Yes.
And as we all know, anything can happen on a Sunday, right? There's so many 1-2 point games. It's just going to come down to those couple of moments. Did the players do the bullet points that as coaches, I'm sure you guys all do, Saturday night at World Cup, there was 3 bullet points. Don't go past Snake 2 if you're not sure where the center's at. Don't go past 200 if you're not sure. And the semi-pro field was so horrendously hilly. We called it the Mounds Field presented by Lone Wolf, that we couldn't shoot the Snake side on the break. We had to go back to shooting the Dorito side on the break, right? So besides that, did we execute those bullet points, the blueprint? Right. And if you can do that, any given Sunday, people can have good days. So I think that's kind of the road we're on. It's also tough for semi-pro teams. Us, Jungle Cats, and Distortion, right, are all coming in. And then the Shock semi-pro guys, like you said, you're talking about teams that, for us, what did we go this year? 18-2 or 17-2 in the prelims, right? Preferred Mob beat us. And then we lost to Jesters or whatever at World Cup. But all of us had really, statistically speaking, very successful seasons. Now we're all getting ready to go into a division that, man, I'm not going to say it's the inverse of that, but there's a better chance of losing as many games as you won last year in the pro division, because it's just a tough division to go into. All my years of doing this, I've always said this, that step from semi-pro to pro is the largest step. And there's nothing any of us that have done it for a long time can tell a group of young men that are coming into it to truly prepare them for it. Besides, best one I give everybody is 2 ears and 1 mouth. Listen twice as much as you talk your first season. Just observe and absorb, and try to be there year 2, and then you're in a better place, right? And I think there's so many things that Fit has done that so many of us young teams could possibly just listen to and absorb from them. The first year was, Tom Cole was super outspoken and betting, friendly speaking, but behind the scenes telling other pro teams, I'll bet you that Fit makes Sunday. Fit's a top 4 team. And a lot of pro teams, the first year they came back, right, that they earned their spot, were there's no way, Fit's going to have a hard time. But they stuck to their game plan, and they do what they do, their blueprint, and they're one of the only teams that has ever won at the top level, right? It's a tough place to win.
Yeah, they're now 8 teams, and they're one of them. Yeah.
And they've won, and then back to back. Again,
a lot. In the time period, they've won a lot, right? They're really, really good.
And I think one thing that's to be said, in paintball especially, but also in life, when a friend or a competitor or whoever associate in this, we all do this together. When somebody does something great, give them their flowers, right? Give them their respect.
Yeah.
Like, you're a clown in life if you take away from greatness. You know what I mean? When any of you do something great, I'll be the first one to, listen, the gold chain tracksuit almost got a text from me to Mike when I saw that picture come out, because that was greatness, right? But I didn't do it. Then I saw he put it as his profile picture. And I said to Tracy, I'm like, I should have texted him because it was worth it. But all joking aside, when people in paintball do something great, give them their credit. You know what I mean? Like, every game that we lost last year, we got beat. We didn't lose; they beat us. Preferred Mob beat us. Whoever it is, beat us. Give people their credit. We're all competitors. We're not enemies, right? And once we come off the field, then we work on getting better at our craft.
Yeah, I love that you said that, because that's 100%. That is honestly what we do here, right? Like we have. I think we've probably given Paintball Fit more gas on this show than probably anybody else, because they deserve it, right?
100%.
Like they've proven that they're the best team in the world right now, and that their system is good, and that what they do works. My as a coach, my fear is, because the amount of paintball they play and they do it on turf, that they're going to have some injury problems within the next few years if they continue to go at the rate they go. But for now, again, this is all like, maybe this will happen. Right. Like right now, they're the best team in the world, and they deserve everything they get. To go back, you made a bunch of really good points there.
Yeah.
One of the things I was going to bring up as we kind of talked about this story was what this is for you guys, for the Jungle Cats, for Distortion. This is a great time to be coming in, though, because you have all three of those teams coming in. You have a struggling NYX. You have a Royal City Sea Dogs that's 1 year in. Leverage that's 1 year in. Infamous has really struggled. You've got an Ironman team who just lost their best player. Arsenal is complete rebuild. The Hurricanes, of course, got better. Dynasty is a question mark. Uprising is I think they're going to be better. Houston Heat is a question mark. Tauntauns without Fedorov, what will they look like, right? We know what they looked like the World Cup before without him, and it wasn't good. Tampa Bay Damage is going to be really good. Impact's going to be good. X Factor is going to be good. Legion's good. Fit's good, right? So you're talking about 6 teams there
16
that we're real sure are going to be good, right? Cool. Kind of the rest of the league is really open, in my opinion. Like, what a great time to be coming in. And if you're a young, hungry team, like, what a cool opportunity in front of you that you could come into the league in your first year and make 3 or 4 Sundays, potentially put yourself into an opportunity, right? I think this is a great time for you guys to be coming in.
Yeah, and that was our thought as well, right? Like you guys know, right? Once the World Cup was done, there was multiple spots, right? Then again, like Mark Johnson and us have had a really great relationship. We practiced them 3 out of 4 events. Clint retires. BJ retires at the event. Ice is sounding like coming home. He may retire. Yeah. And all of us that are friends with Mark, Mark will say one thing. It's Mark, Ice, BJ, Clint. Yep. Those 4 guys are riding together.
Yep.
Well, for all of us that are, and I can say this, Mark's my friend. When 3 of those 4 guys are gone and he's the 4th one, was Mark going to do a rebuild, right? We weren't betting that he wasn't. It's just like, man, that's a big, every name that you lose there, it's going to become difficult, right?
Yeah.
And with everybody going to more local, homegrown, which is where Mark was heading with it, right? Like local guys, Tyler Speece, the outlaw guy they got, like there was multiple local guys there, but you lose. That's a
Your
1 or
core.
2 too many guys to lose to be able to quickly rebuild, right? Like there's full rebuilds, and then there's adding 30-40% of the roster back. For him, it was going to be a lot. So behind the scenes, we knew there was going to be multiple spots changing. We didn't know who was going to get every spot. There were some spots where we thought Blast Camp had the Arsenal spot, and they didn't have the Arsenal spot. But we knew if we could get in and be one of those newer teams coming in, we had a fighting chance, right? Which is all anybody wants, is a good chance and opportunity to try to play at the highest level. But like I said, it's tough from the coaching general manager point of view when you're in semi-pro and you're looking at winning 90-some% of all the games you play. to then looking at you could lose 80% of the games you play. And if a new team coming in won 20% of the games they played in a season, 1-3, maybe a 2-2 and 0-4, whatever it is, it's probably a decently successful season for a first-year team, right? So it's managing expectations and, keeping the young guys. When you go from winning a lot to now we're going to get punched in the head a lot, you know what I mean? How do you handle that? How do you react to it? A JD line from Fit, and it's I try to take 2% from everybody and then build the blueprint, right? And JD, a line that he said is bend, don't break, right? And that's something Fit is known for. And I think for the younger teams, there's going to be a lot of bend moments. It's who can keep from breaking, right? And having a bad game, an 0-6 game or whatever it is, but just a game you're not winning, and not let that break down the structure that you're trying to build. Because another one is, short-term, long-term goals. Everybody's short-term goal going into Tampa is to win Tampa, right? It's all of us that are there. You have to think you're going to win. Only one does. But that's the short-term goal. Long-term goal is to build championship teams. And you can't let a short-term goal derailment mess up that long-term goal and where you're heading towards, right? So for us, that's kind of where we're at right now. And, luckily for us out in California, like Florida, we get to play a lot of paintball, right? Like we just don't deal with bad weather. So we're hoping, because like I said, everybody knows the blueprint now. Now every team, it's their twist that they put on the blueprint, whatever that is. And I think for us out here is we just get to play a lot of paintball together, Doesn't mean we're going to do good, but we hope that's our twist to it. And we know, like with Fit, I got to Fit multiple times a year running events there. And I always tell the story. We leave California Sunday night. We're there Monday night. Usually Tracy and I crush out the drive, 1,400 miles or whatever. And we pull into Fit to drop a trailer, and you come around the corner and the lights are on. And it's like, walk up, shake people's hands, right? They're all my friends. Like, hey, man, how you guys doing? And they're out there practicing on Monday night. And then we rest all day Tuesday, and Tuesday afternoon we go pick up stuff at Home Depot, hammers, whatever Bobby and Alicia, the setup crew, need, and go back to Fit to drop it Tuesday night. And there's Fit out there practicing again. You know what I mean? So the blueprint, everybody knows the blueprint. It's now, can we get more paintball in together, kind of like the Jungle Cat guys, right? Like they're all in that region that can play a lot of paintball together. And it seemed like the last year or two, that's really where paintball's heading towards, right? So that's kind of our goal.
Yeah. Right. It's exciting.
Man, I love everything you just said, right? Just win, lose, doesn't matter. Don't abandon the process, right? Totally. You've got the blueprint, you've got the goal, you've got the trajectory. You can't come off trajectory. Totally. You're going to get punched in the face. Don't come off trajectory, right?
And we wouldn't be here in this, whether it's semi-pro or now pro division, if we didn't enjoy big game hunting, right? Like we and all of us know when we go onto that field, we could be the prey or the predator. And that can change multiple times in the course of a match, right? You're up a point, you're down 3, back in it. It's just part of the game. And that's where, as coaches, right, you just can't let a short-term derailment mess up the long-term process and, get extra excited or upset with a player when in all reality, if it's something you got to deal with it after the fact, right? So we're excited for the process, right? We're happy with the NXL, the 3-man thing they did. I feel like that's more valuable reps. Ryan, we were playing at the same time at World Cup on the 3-man thing with the Legion. And I think you guys use some of your younger guys in there, correct?
That's all we don't play any of the 4 long tooth guys. Totally. It's all the young guys.
And for us going into next year, now we're looking at that where we have, 14 dudes on our roster right now that are, pro, semi-pro, premier, WC level guys, where it's like, some of these guys that need the reps. That's another great place to give people opportunity to get to see that field, to get to see that environment, because your first year in the pro division for the newer guys that are coming in, it's unlike anything else. You know what I mean? It's when you go from that semi-pro field over to that pro field, it's just a whole different world. So we're excited for it. Our whole team is super stoked to be able to get after it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love how you talked about the fact that, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rye.
No. You're good, bud.
I was just going to make a comment. I love how you talked about, there's only so much you can say to a team to prepare them, right? For these types of moments. They have to experience those big game moments, Right. And they have to remember that and learn from it and grow from it. So yeah, I'm right there with you. You know, that first year pro, doing it again myself, just like you. So it's one of those things where I'm looking forward to those guys having those big game moments, learning from it. And after, like you said, after that experience, talking to them about it, talking how to retain, you know, and grow from it, and really molding that into something, and maybe having some big surprises for some people along the way.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's one thing in the NXL, and I hope all the new teams can do that, right? Like going into World Cup, we knew, you know, leverage NYX, we knew the relegation situation, right? Leverage is now out of it, but then they catch like the Hurricanes, which I have nothing but respect for that group, right? We practiced them before Cup, but you know, leverage pulls a game against them that if we were all talking and putting money on it, we'd probably be like, yeah, I'm leaning Hurricanes on this game. You know what I mean? But inevitably every NXL pro event, somebody that is the underdog pulls it out. And, you know, like that one was a 3-0 game that they beat them, right? Very convincing for those guys. So, you know, there's a lot of data points that we can look at that if we put the work in, you know, there's always, if you're persistent in what you're doing, there's always hope in the footsteps of it, right? Like, so as long as we're doing what we know we need to do, the blueprint out here on the West Coast is, for our guys, we've known it forever, right? You got to outwork everybody there is and also have some high level IQ with that. But if you're not putting the work in, like there are some teams out there and some players I've heard haven't touched their gear since World Cup. I just don't quite agree with that. You know what I mean? I think to be great at this game, at this level, you really got to put the time in.
Right. 100%. 100%.
Yeah, I want to go back. You said, gosh, you were talking about the young guys and the 3-man and that kind of thing. We had a situation at World Cup where we put a player in kind of the last 2 points of a match in a really critical time with the Tauntauns. And he'd played maybe 5 points throughout the whole tournament, right? And he did play the 3-man, but it's a big moment, right? We're at the World Cup, that they're coming back. We switch it up, right, for a change in tempo. He goes out and makes a mistake, right? In the point right before overtime. We had an opportunity to win the point. He couldn't see the clock, didn't understand the moment. And then he goes out in the overtime point, makes another big mistake. And at the end of the event in the match, one of the guys was really giving him a hard time. And I was like, hey, listen, that's not his fault. That's our fault. That's my fault, Max's fault, Alexi's fault. We did not appropriately prepare him for the moment that we just asked him to be in. That's our fault, right? And as a coach, and you guys know this, like anytime we have to make those changes, and I didn't question it because you have faith in the guy, but at the same time, the reality is we didn't appropriately prepare him, right? We throw a young guy into a situation who, again, has seen the field maybe 5 times during the preliminary rounds, put him out in a critical moment and expect there not to be a mistake. That's inappropriate, right? So using that 3-man, and then again, for us, it's got to be more about meaningful rotation, right? Being able to get these young guys more opportunities to participate so that they can try to catch the other guys. They're not going to catch J-Rab and Kirill, and from a mental perspective, right? Oh. They're not going to catch those guys, but we have to do what we can do as coaches to get them as close as we can, right? We feel like that 3-man is a step toward doing that.
Absolutely. I mean, and it's tough with younger guys, right? Like Evan Middleton on our team, right? 16-year-old Team USA kid. Truly one of the greatest human beings I've ever had the ability to coach, right? Great family, his dad, his mom, like that kid put some time in. But at the beginning of the season, he hadn't really ever been successful in semi-pro. And, you know, we're into Sunday, and as coaches, like you're talking about, we don't want to put somebody in a position to fail if possibly that failure is going to be a mental failure and not a learning lesson, right? Like if you can look at this, like it didn't go well, but it's a learning lesson. Like for me, when I played pro, I can think of 3 one-on-ones I lost where it's like, man, those still haunt me to this day, right? And it made me become a better player. You just don't want to put somebody in a position to fail where that failure probably haunts them and isn't a productive thing to teaching them down the road. It becomes productive because they're just not mentally ready for it, right? So I
all their
totally agree.
out.
And I literally said to David the other day, I'm like, man, the 3-man thing, like if we have anybody on the bubble or, you know, something happens, an injury, can't make practice, delayed flight, I'm like, that 3-man has to be where we're putting guys in, getting them the reps, just so you get through your first season of 5 events plus the 3-mans and all that. You get into year 2, this really feels like you're the sophomore, junior at high school, not the freshman coming in.
Yeah.
Right.
Good point.
That's a valid point. That's a good perspective.
Well, with 5 pro level match, five events at the NXL with 4 games each, it's 20 prelims, right? Like that is the number.
Right.
Short, unless you're the champions, right? You have 19 prelims, but 20 prelims is probably how we should all be judged, right? As coaches, because it's not fair to say you lost on Sunday and you lost on Sunday. Well, on Sunday, 9 teams lose, only 1.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
There's a 90% chance you will lose on Sunday, but those prelim games are a body of work that we can all judge each other off of, right? So for us, making sure we put guys in there to win, and winning is important, right? Like it's super important. So totally agree. I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be a good season. I think Tom's got a lot of good ideas. You know, it's also interesting being in the shoes I'm in with the USXBL and WC being the largest regional leagues there are. You know, it's always like Tom and I, people think that we are at odds, and like no matter what Tom does, Tom is judged. If Tom puts his left shoe on before his right shoe, people are like, well, why the fuck didn't you put the right one on first? You know what I mean? Like no matter what they do at the NFL, people will always question them. You know what I mean? And if I was in Tom's shoes, I'd just take them off, right? Because it's a tough gig they have up there. You know what I mean? It's easy to look at the raw numbers. Well, they should be making this much money. Man, I don't even know when you're that big. Like for us, you don't even have a budget. You kind of have a framework on how shit's supposed to work. And then all of a sudden, natural disasters hit. This happens, that happens. Flights are more expensive. Tough, you know? So, but from my point of view, we bought into it, right? Like we believe in what's happening with the NXL Pro Division and where they're heading with it. So I think it's a good time. I think there's going to be a lot of young guys coming out in the next year or two that are going to probably be here for a while, right? Like I think we're going to see a bumper crop of young players coming in, right? Like we kind of had a burn down this last off season. We're going to see some of those guys that maybe should have retired a year or two retiring, kind of forced retirement. And you're going to see younger guys. And I think a lot of teams are looking around right now. Like, do we, you know, same with like the Jungle Cats, right? Do you go pick up a guy that has years of experience, but doesn't really fit the mold of we enjoy playing paintball together. Right. And that's
right.
I'm just saying from my point of view, it is that gap on, do I take the new kid or the experienced OG? It's 50-50 right now. And it's leaning more towards the younger guy. I feel like a lot of teams are heading that way right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. Well, we talk about that on the show a lot, right? About culture, and the person has to fit into your culture, because I'm telling you, you bring the wrong element in, it's not just going to destroy the season; it's going to destroy the team, and it's going to, you know, we talk about players being toxic, and that stuff can spread, and even if that guy ends up leaving, he's planted seeds in some of those guys.
I call them the whispers.
You know,
you're in the pit,
that's right.
And there's at the front of the pit, there's the coach. And there's the players that are playing, and there's the guys that aren't playing. And the great teammates are the ones that aren't playing, that are taking the gun, grabbing pods, probably risking injury more in the pit than they would out on the field to get their guys turned around and back out there. But then there's like the guys that we're talking, the whispers, is when, you know, like I'm decently tall guy, 6'1", 6'2". Like I see over the top of everybody, and you see that guy's eyes in the back of the pit giving you like the crazy look, and you're like, I'm the one who fucked up. Like, you're the one not playing, man. You know what I mean? Like, why are you mad at me? Like, but truthfully, like, those are the guys that are toxic. And it's interesting on teams and the dynamic and the culture, like you said, Mike. There's so many players that, you know, I don't think the younger players around us understand the toxicity, or dare we use the word cancerous, because they really, you know, lung cancer, brain, like these things sound scary. Skin cancer kills more people than anybody, and those guys are skin cancer. They're friends with everybody. They're over there planting the seeds of discord, getting everybody to rally against the coach. And if you don't have a command and control structure where the coach's word goes down to the players, and I mean, the Russians are a great, for instance of it. They tell their guys to go do something and they go do it. You know what I mean? There's very little debate to be had between whether, Toronto or whoever is making the calls in there. Yes, sir. And they go do it, but when you got guys working against what we're all trying to, and if the coach doesn't do his job, then fire him, then get a new coach. Like, I have no problem letting somebody else call the plays. You know what I mean? That's not an issue, but and that's all the way down through the divisional ranks. Sometimes you have that one guy and he's a great player and all these positive things, but he's super negative when things go bad. I don't know if you want guys like that on your team anymore.
We talk about that all the time, Mike. Like I talk about, void of leadership, right? When there's any void in leadership, like if you have a coach who doesn't have control, right? And there's this void in leadership, it's usually someone will step into that leadership role who's not ready for it, right?
Right.
And it's usually just the player who's the best player. So they think that because they're really good at playing paintball, that they're also a really good leader. And that's just unfortunately not the way it works most of the time. Like,
and then
usually
you end up putting more on that guy's plate and other people's plate. And now they cannot just perform their task of being a great player. Now you're worried about not what just happened between the buzzers. We're worried about coming off the field and what kind of a nightmare could be waiting for us in the pits. So totally agree. And I mean, I think the pro division has done a good job of rooting that out. I could name some guys that have been forced into retirement that just fit the toxic tendency. And I think we're now heading towards a place in pro paintball where if somebody gets too toxic, at some point, some young kid's just going to take their spot, right? I mean, Colt Lukow said it to me at one of the USXBLs. He's like, every D2 and D3 player can make the same shots now, right? It's the rest of it that goes with it. And it's fair to say that because we see it out on a Sunday where back home in California, the Taco Killers beat our pro guys in a 3-on-3 game multiple times because those dudes can make all the shots. You know what I mean? Now it comes down to coaching and understanding the soft spots on a field and where we may be able to get tactical advantage, right? Like you said, Ryan, multiple layouts didn't have a center presence. Well, if that doesn't happen, then we have to be in the outside, 1 and 5 gap. So totally agree with that.
Yeah. Let's talk about your roster a little bit. And then we'll kind of get into last year, this year, and then expectations. So tell us, so your roster from last year, Mike, you did all that work. So why don't you?
I did. Yeah. You have some significant experience here. Mike, you got Jordan Boyum from DMG and Ironman, Ben Challenger of Diesel and Infamous, Mark Meiderman of Seattle Uprising. By the way, big Mark fan. Daniel Park of Ironman and Impact. Darragh Demchek? I'm pretty sure is how you pronounce it.
Demchek won't be back this season. I think work and life, he's just opted. He may play WCs in an event here or there, but he's probably stepping back. Okay.
Well, you already talked about Evan Middleton of Team USA fame. I'm a big fan of him. I've coached him in Europe. Is this full roster? So obviously you've mentioned that Jared's not coming back. So is he the only one not coming back? And what are the plans to add to the roster?
I don't think Mark's playing this season with us or with anybody. I don't believe. I will say Mark's been at the field every weekend with us. I don't know if he just doesn't know what else to do on Sundays besides get in the car and come back to the paintball field. But I think, Mark has had some life-changing events go down in his personal life. He's full-time dad now with his daughter. And I think he's pretty focused on that right now. But like I said, he's been at the field every weekend with us with his collision gear on playing. If we need him to, I'm sure, he would gladly suit up and ride out for us. You know what I mean? That's just some things transcend paintball, right? And Mark is a great dad and a loving father. And his daughter, Taylor, is a great young lady. You know what I mean? And hangs out with my daughter, Ruby, all the time. But I think his focus is stabilizing his own life, his daughter's life, for all of us that have kids back home, there is a strong woman, wife, mother behind us, allowing us to get on those planes and go fly across the country. And in Mark's situation, he doesn't have that. So Mark is all sides of that now. And I think that's his focus right now. But besides those two, I think those are the only two off the World Cup roster that won't be back. Frank and Brandon Trujillo were announced through the league.
That's right.
Frank has Anamaso has a ton of experience with us, me and David, right? And you didn't name it, but I mean, we have David Ramirez. So
yes. Yes.
What more can you add? You can hear Tracy laughing in the background. Pretty sure my team chat lit up. We know him as.
My apologies, David. No disrespect. I was just going through some things and I got sidetracked when we started talking about Jared.
No, David's a stud too. Yeah, David's
real name. If you didn't know, David's real name is Guillermo. So that's what we call him, Guillermo.
Do you really?
Yeah, that's Guillermo.
Okay. Well, Guillermo is not only a really, really good player, but also kind of at the end of his time with Aftermath, he was doing a lot of coaching.
Absolutely.
And he did a great job. Like when I would be either scouting or sometimes commentating some of their matches, and I would always see David and I would talk about it while I was commentating, always at the net, right? Talking to the guys as they're going out, like giving them last minute pointers, like guys would come in and he's, grabbing them right away. He just seemed like he was having really good conversations all the time. Like he seems like a great asset.
Yeah, man. Listen, everybody out there in all the collision videos that drop will always see me giving David a hard time, but David's Aftermath, as I step back, I believe they got 4th in Vegas that year. They were 12th, I think, overall first season. Not taking anything away from anybody else, but David was a big part of that, right? He's that guy as a player between the coaching staff and the players that was kind of the team captain, intermediary, go-between, right? Because there's times I feel a certain way about things and the players feel 180 degrees different about it. And we must find common ground. And I think David did a really good job for many seasons, even when I was coaching Aftermath, on being the voice of reason to keep everybody on the same level. You know what I mean? So yeah, he's a big one. And we have a bunch of young guys in our camp, obviously running SC Village. We have a lot of young guys that are coming through. I think we have 13 or 14 right now, kind of on the active roster. I'm sure like with the Russians, right? You kind of know these are my core guys, but there's some young kids on the periphery of that have an opportunity this season to earn a spot up onto it. As a coach, I don't ever have politics in my mind, right? Like David owns Collision, but if he's not playing well, David will pull himself out first. So there's no preconceived notion of who's going to play. Same for either of your two teams. On the Bears, multiple guys there are a lot of guys there are phenomenal paintball players. But if a bunch of young kids off the D2 team showed up from Bear Ridge or Jungle Cats D2, their lower programs, and truly outplayed their pro counterparts as coaches, that's what you want to see, right? Like
100%.
We had a tryout and we had a lot of people show up to it. And, there was a young man named Brian from the NorCal Kings that showed up and just for 2 days played out of his mind. And it was cool for all of us older guys because there's always at a tryout that one guy that shows up that you don't know is coming and you don't really know who he is that well. And then they show up and really have a day or a weekend. And you're like, man, keep whatever you showed up with. And I can think of like back on that when I was with the Ironman, Marcelo showed up with Brandon Cornell. Brandon was just a little redheaded, prepubescent little kid, you know what I mean? And he had a great weekend and we picked him up on the Ironman and now he is who he is, you know what I mean? So for us, there's a lot of players that we all know about. And I think there's just as many players that are not known about in our camp that I think could have really bright futures, whether it's with us or down the road with another pro team in our area, or, if you can build talent, it'll be needed somewhere.
What are their names?
I mean, you got Brian.
I'm just kidding.
Good one.
I'm just kidding.
Let me see. Pulls up Aftermath roster.
I'm kidding.
Come on.
That was cruel. That was cruel.
Nothing.
Steve.
Yeah. But that's the cool part of paintball for us coaches, right? Because you really want to see somebody have a moment, right? Like, and you want to see that. You want to see players see in them what we can see in them and believe in themselves at that level.
Yes.
Because I've always said, a 50-50 game plan works way better than 100% game plan that the three of us know will work. But when you give it to your players, you feel the cold front roll in where you're like, oh, fuck, that's not being received well. You're like, okay, well, back left, back right, back center. We're filling in here. This is where we're going. The guys are like, yeah, let's do that. And you're like, that's a 50-50. That's a coin toss, right? If we're going to win that one. But when the players believe in something, tends to go a lot further than something they don't believe in.
Yeah, totally.
There it is. Oh my gosh. All you divisional coaches out there, that's the gold right there. If you got anything out of this entire podcast tonight, that's the gold, right? Get them to believe, right? 100%. Because once that happens, even if the game plan is a crap game plan, if everybody believes in it from coach to team, the execution's there, right? Because they believe. And
but the other side of that is, if you're having to sell it real hard, stop selling, move on.
Stop selling.
Right? Like, that's the other part. Like, I hear coaches all the time say, well, I had this great plan and the guys just, they didn't want to do it and they wouldn't do it. And I'm like, then get rid of it. Get rid of it.
The good thing in practice is, sometimes you do have those players that have more than their fair share to say on a team.
Yeah.
And that's where you pull the blank layout out and you lay it down and you put the pen on it and you're like, okay, let's draw this out. Let's see how we're going to do this. And then the next 5, 6, 7 points, we go do what they wanted to do. And you come back and you're like 2-5. We won 2, lost 5. Do you think we should try that tournament time? Or do you think we can go back to what I was saying?
Yeah.
No? Okay. So, and again, this last year or two in divisional paintball, you've seen so many like the ragtag army guys at USXBL Texas, right? Like, there's some really great young players on that team that I think could be coming off of the tips of our tongues for years to come as they rise up.
I'm trying to get one of them right now.
What's that?
I'm trying to get one of them right now.
Great.
I shouldn't have said that. Yeah, I shouldn't have said that. There's
now the boys know.
I'm looking. Yeah, they do. It's out there, boys. Ragtag,
guys. What's his name? Aaron.
What? Oh, I'm sorry, Aaron. I missed something. What?
You got Aaron, didn't you?
Yeah.
I did not. You're talking about Mr. Smith?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you did.
You were talking about Mark and how Mark has some, and Aaron is a responsible, smart young man, and he is career motivated. He knows paintball will be there, right? But it's not his priority right now. And I couldn't be more proud of him, right, for making that kind of decision, because it was a tough call for him. He's like, oh, I do want to come back. And I was like, all right, make sure you're 100%. And,
we heard that name out here. When we heard that name out here, a lot of our guys didn't know who he was. And I was like, that would be a culture piece that would fit really well, and 100%. A needed piece possibly for you guys next year, because it's again, just moving into the pro division. You have to have, like, Ryan said earlier, a 3-sided attack, and not that you guys don't have it. It's just the more pieces to that you can have definitely helps.
Agreed. 100%. Anytime you got that kind of depth, and Aaron would have really, really added to our capabilities on the Jungle Cats. 100%. But we got our eyes on a lot of, and like you said, Mike, right? I'm one of those guys that keeps his finger on the pulse in the regional area for different players. D3, D4, D2, it doesn't matter. I think I learned this many, many years ago. I'll go watch D5 players for a day just to see what's out there and what's going on. And you'd be amazed at some of the stuff you can actually learn from this. But you already know that. But yeah, I keep my finger on the pulse, and there is a lot of Southeastern talent, and I'm hoping to see it next weekend.
Yeah, I mean, Florida up through the Panhandle, like, there's a ton of talent out there, right?
South Carolina, North Carolina,
even, and the Houston area. There's a lot of young kids out there that, man, are very close, right? And really where they're close is between their ears, right? Being able to put it together and have that belief in themselves, and realize they put a lot of work to get to where they're at. A little bit more on the mental side will probably get them over some of those hurdles, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So
love it.
Let's talk about last year and kind of moving into expectations and things for this year. Mike, you want to take that?
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's talk about that. What do you feel will be the biggest opportunity before we talk about last year? What do you think will be the biggest opportunity for the team this season? Or what do you see as the biggest obstacle?
I mean, I think every team is their own biggest obstacle, right? Like very rarely, respectfully, have we lost and not known what was coming at us. Right. And that's, I'm sure, same with you guys, right? You kind of have an idea. I think there's some of us older school coaches like Joey Blute and I talk a lot, right? And we talk about layouts, right? Thursday, Wednesday, it comes out Thursday. We're all out playing on it and we'll give a call to each other. And it's kind of like, I see guys before a ball's been shot on a field putting lines across shooting lanes and how the field's going to play. And like, I guess I'm just not that fucking smart, man. Like at some point we go out and do drills, step off the left and right side, shooting back through. But at some point you just got to play some 5-on-5s on it, right? Because suddenly you're going to start to see the tendencies in a field and what you can or can't do. And I think for us, we're usually pretty well prepared for events. Like I don't, again, going off of last season, we lost games. We've been exposed. We've lost a ton of points, you know what I mean, here and there. So I think for us, we have an idea what we need to do. We're not budget limited on our team for paint, right? We have SC Village. We have our own field there. We just go. We have lights 7 days a week. We have 2 sets of white lights at SC Village. So we can play as much as we want. I think for us, the younger guys, like I said earlier, there's nothing we can do at practice to prepare us for the referees, the moment, the pro field, everything that is. I don't know if there's something I know, down at Tiki's or Thunder Valley or whatever it's being called now, your guys' practice field, you guys have made it a great practice field, but still it doesn't equal tournament time, right? Mm-hmm. So for us, it's just reps. If I could fast forward 365 days from now, and we're talking about, we had the 20 prelim games plus, 10 more if it's 2 games and 3-man, assuming we go 0-2 and younger guys are just learning. We've still had 30 opportunities. We've gotten to go to Florida and play your guys and play all these other pro teams. Because I think for guys that haven't gotten the years of seeing these guys like we all have, the younger guys just don't know what to expect, right? And then you start putting names to faces, to personalities, to friendships, and you start to understand, that these dudes are just doing it at a very high level. You know what I mean? They're just like me. Yeah. They're just like you. They put one pant leg on at a time. Maybe not Mouse. He probably just magically jumps up and he's ready to go. But you know what I'm saying? The rest of these guys, they're just like us. They are the 1%ers of our game. You know what I mean? So for us, I recognize, as I'm sure you do, Mike, like a year of experience for new pro teams is going to help. And there's nothing we can do. 30 skids of paint, it's not going to help that situation. And going through the 1 point missing Sundays or, half a point on the spread or whatever it is, just situations, like Ryan, you were talking about in the 3-man, like your young guy made mistakes. Bet he doesn't make those mistakes again. Right. It's just unfortunately comes with an expense of we got to do it at a tournament and not win at that tournament. And it's just a costly mistake that gets made. And I'm sure on our team, it's going to happen. So now it's just when that does happen, putting your arms around that guy and being like, hey, brother, this is what went wrong, and try to not make the mistake again. Nothing's a mistake if you learn from it.
And you make a really good point. About just understanding and being a little bit not comfortable, but kind of with you're going to lose some. Yeah. You have to go into it with the understanding, hey, we're going to lose. And that's one of the things I've kind of been saying a little bit is like, hey, we've got to rotate other guys in. We can't just play these 5 guys, and we got to be okay that we're going to lose some of those points. We're gonna, and we got to be okay with that. Otherwise, what is the point of having these dudes? What's the point?
Absolutely.
We got to get them in.
Yes,
absolutely. And then I think for us as coaches and the staff that you guys have over there, then you just have to ask, is this just this player's ceiling, right? Like there's a reason why 1st-round draft pick quarterbacks are those guys and there's undrafted ones. And don't get me wrong, Tom Brady came out of nowhere and had a Hall of Fame career, but it's being able to look at those guys and be like, I think it's a big one right now in general. Are we catching players still on the uptrend that they still have a lot of upswing ahead of them? Or are you catching players that have plateaued or maybe on the downhill swing? And I think right now there's a sense around paintball that we are all looking for the next gold mine in the next, like I saw Christian put in there, like jet ski from
Mhm.
Shock. You know what I mean? There's a ton of the ragtag guys. There's a lot of guys on BR, right? There's, I'm sure, a gang of dudes on Russian Legion that are unknown young players that have a ton of upside to them. It's an interesting part of the game, right? Because like you said, I could go watch D4 and D5. I agree with you. I run leagues.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like being Dana White at the UFC. I got a front row seat. Like Ryan, you came down last season and watched, at Fit, the event we had there. You were up in the booth with Robert and everything. I love it. I love getting to sit there on the front line of watching those people have their moments and then watching them consistently have those moments. And as pro level talent evaluators like we are, you're like, man, that guy could possibly do it at the next level.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
great point.
That's
why I love
next,
having you on, because that was so well stated. Every aspect of that was very well stated. I appreciate
well, that's the next thing for all 20 pro teams,
right?
Is who can talent evaluate some young kid like you just said that's a D4 guy that is going to be happy as just to get 5 free cases of paint at the Russian Legion camp that he's now part of. Paycheck. He doesn't need one of those. He just needs the ability to play paintball until his fingers give out. You know what I mean? And that's going to be, I feel the next year or two is going to be a big part of the game, is going to be who can find those players, get them into a system. I would love to see nothing more than the NXL help or push the pro teams towards having farm teams and feeder teams, so we stop cannibalizing other pro teams the next time somebody else in that top 4 in the green room that we talked about decides they want the heart and soul out of that team and go destroy that team in the process. It would be great to see every pro team, because like Fit, while like Beefy Boys and Shut Up We're Trying are not directly their semi-pro team in D2. I think Beefy Boys are moving up now, but they are Fit teams, right? There's some Fit for life guys in there that could someday possibly, if they ever needed, could move some of those guys up. I think that's super important for paintball. You know what I mean? Having that, like for us on Collision, you now have a pro team down to Division 5 and even D6 beginner 3-man that wear the same Collision jersey. You know what I mean? That's a pretty cool situation to have. And I think if we had that more around paintball, that could possibly help.
Absolutely.
I mean, it can't hurt, right?
It certainly can't.
Like we have teams, we have D5, D4, and a D3 team. And then now this year we'll partner, and I don't want to share too much about it until they're ready to share, but we're going to partner with another team playing in semi-pro, so that again, we'll have 8-9 guys on our pro roster, and then those other guys will go play semi-pro. So they're still getting tournament experience, and then Max or myself will go over and coach that semi-pro team through the tournament, and the other will help with the pro team. But I couldn't agree with what you're saying more. Like I've been saying this since I think right after World Cup. Like I believe the next evolution of what we're about to see, because again, we're so top heavy right now in the league. It's so top heavy now in those top 4 teams. There's a lot of age in those top 4 teams. There's a lot of guys that are old, right? Like I know, Impact just adds Connor Kelly, which I think is a fantastic move. I'm really excited for Connor. So happy they did that. But again, that's like one young guy on a pretty old roster, right? That's a pretty old roster. X Factor, kind of the same thing. Pretty old roster. There's not a lot of youth on that team. I think the next evolution of what we're seeing, as you mentioned earlier, with all of these new pro teams coming in, is if these brands, these pro brands, want to stick around, they have to begin to cultivate youth. They have to. You got to cultivate it, because you're going to get it to a place where like a kid has played on a team his kind of whole career and he's making some money. He's getting paid a little bit of money, but he's also like, that's his starting place. It's not going to be like it used to be where you can go to somebody and say, hey, I'll give you 30 grand, a year to come over and play with us. I think they would say no, right? I just think they'd say no, because they're in a great environment. Nobody's going after Chavez. You know why?
I'm glad you said it, because we were all thinking it.
Yeah. Nobody's going after Chavez. You know why? Because he's going to say no. You can throw 100 grand at that kid and he's going to say no. No, I'm good. right?
Mhm.
And that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Like, and I hope pro teams are starting to, again, especially the brands, if you want to stick around, that's what you're going to, in my opinion, that's what you're going to have to do.
100%. Because really, those 4 top pro teams that you're talking about, their game plan is to rip the heart and soul out of middle pack teams, right? Like, I'm not trying to be a dick, but
No. That's kind of their MO. Yeah.
cool. Connor Kelly's doing great. We're going to grab him. You know what I mean? So-and-so's doing great. We're going to grab him. You know what I mean? The only downside of that is, you know, like Joey from your team, Mike, has made tons of comments on our press release and everybody else's. We appreciate that. But you talk about these like sustainability and pro paintball, the tough part becomes, and your team will see it if it happens to you, and I hope it doesn't. But when you have that one guy that really is excelling, and then at the end of the year, I mean, I saw it happen with the original Aftermath. 7-man, I think it was in Tampa. We're playing Voltage. Dave Youngblood standing over there talking to Marcelo and Mouse, and I'm like, that's fucking weird. You know what I mean? They landed in San Diego, stopped by, die. There was 10 Ironman jerseys with each one of their names. See ya. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just not good for paintball to have that happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that because you have more money than this guy. If we're going to do that, then let's just have CJ and Bart and everybody pull their bank statements out and we can see who's got the biggest one, right? But at some point, this has to be, there has to be some protections on teams as well, right? So you're not just getting gutted every single year, because that's happened. I mean, I could name countless pro teams. Pando, why do you think LVL was done? When Danny got yanked to Dynasty, Pando was on the phone with Sean Moe from the Las Vegas Misfits offering to sell him the pro spot. And instead, Todd Adamson got it. He just wanted out. And the number on that pro spot was the cheapest number I have ever heard in my life for a pro spot. Like 10,000 or lower, because he was just done with it. He was like, I'm tired of building these guys up just to have them stolen away. So that's something, you know, just again, as we look down the road, I don't even know exactly where we're landing out there, but we've got to head that direction of having, you know, the same thing Ryan said. We're going to have a bunch of extra guys that don't go onto our pro roster this year, whether it's the NorCal Kings, we've heard they're local playing semi-pro, Miami Effect, or whoever it is out here that is semi-pro. If they need some guys, we would gladly lend some of those guys across just so they get those reps like you're talking about, because that's super important. And if we're going to pay dudes $100,000, like some of the numbers we all know, you could fund a semi-pro team for that. You could pay 5 entries, all the paint, all the practice 100%. Paint, no doubt about it, for one salary. So at some point, if those dudes have that much money, which God bless you for having that much money, and you really care about the game like you claim to, then start building divisional teams to help, you know, have an impact pipeline and a dynasty pipeline. You know what I mean? And same like the Hurricanes are doing it now with, I believe he's building a semi-pro team with a bunch of those guys. That's great. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Gerald Garcia is running that.
Totally.
Yep.
And I take my hat off to it, because those guys are putting their money where their mouth is. I think the game needs that, right?
Totally.
Because even for us, like Collision, we picked up a ton of guys through our divisional programs, but I said this, I don't want somebody that's on a healthy team. Like if you're part of a brotherhood over there, stick with that. We do not want to break teams up. But if your team is no longer together and you need a team to play on, we have a place for you to play. Big difference there. You know what I mean? You got to kind of like all of our years, Aftermath coming up, Dynasty never stole our guys. Practiced them every weekend at Raza or wherever it was. Yosh, Alex, Ryan, Oliver, all, I mean, we had more talent coming out of that team than most teams at that time ever produced up to the and top level pros, right? Rainey, Dalton, Mouse, Marcelo, all of them. You know what I mean? And they let us function. So I think that's something, and I hope with less money guys in the industry, I hope that we start heading towards that. You know what I mean? Like, because we talk about like why these teams are breaking up, because guys like Mark Johnson don't want to pay 150, 200 grand a year. For that much money, he can go to Europe 3 times a year, bring over some semi-pro guys with him, respect, and I say this respect, like Mark can bring his wife with him, have fun when they're done, stay there for a week, or, you know, you guys have done it, stay there for a week.
Oh,
with
Mark Franz. Yeah.
Totally. You know what I mean? That is way more sensible than let's build the team up and then somebody steals one of your players and they don't even know the guy's first name. Like, that's crazy.
You said Mark Johnson, and I was like, Mark Johnson? Oh, you mean Mark France?
No, Mark Johnson. MJ's going over this year playing semi-pro, I think.
Yeah. Mark's going to do it too.
Oh, okay. But I thought I just was making the connection between you buying Mark Fran's spot and then him still having his Europe spot.
Totally. No,
Which
that's
is the
again
same
for
thing.
another episode of the shenanigans on buying a pro spot.
Oh, pal, like when I saw that was the spot you bought, and I lived that for 3 years, and I was like, man, I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall a few times during those phone conversations, or chaotic Facebook messages back and forth, just to experience Mike's frustration. But
listen,
I will
love
say,
Mark Franz is a great guy.
yeah,
And I hope Mark's out there. Mark is we are all unique people, right?
Totally.
Like no one is perfect. We all are shaded differently. I'm crazy. You're crazy. He's crazy. Mark is just a unique dude. And there's no backhanded weirdness to that. Like Mark Franz does life his way. I respect it. You know what I mean? It's just, we come from two different worlds. So it was definitely a process.
I just feel like Mark's brain is going literally, like I said this even to him. I was like, your brain is going so fast that you don't slow down long enough to like process it all before you like either type it out or say it. Like you're saying it as you're thinking it before it's all connected. And I don't know where we are now. I know we started over here, but now you got me over here, and I don't know how we got here. I don't know how this path happened, but we're here now, and I need to go back over there. All I wanted to know is when do you want me to fly in? That's all I need to know.
And again, another one of the great parts of paintball, right? Like that's what makes going. If we were all the same people, we'd just be stormtroopering out. You know what I mean? We have a lot of different characters, and he's definitely
and that's what makes it great, right? Caitlin Woodward was back at the field this weekend when I was Saturday working out with the guys with Thomas and MJ here in Oklahoma. And Caitlin Woodward, I don't know if you guys remember her, but she played with Vibe, great young player from here in Oklahoma. She was back out at the field, and her dad was there. And one of the first things he said to me was, I'm so glad she's back. Like this community really helped her like come out of her shell and, really find her personality. And I was like, yeah, that's what to me, that's kind of what this community is. It's just this weird melting pot of people from all these different walks of life that would probably never mix other than paintball. Right. And this thing just kind of brings us all together, and we just sort of figure it out.
And there's so many different walks of life, right? I mean, political 360 spectrum, religious 360 spectrum, culturally, racially, whatever you want to call it. But we all find a common ground here. And I can speak for myself. When I go to the field, I say this, when we pull into the field, it's like getting to be a kid again. It's like the movie Big. We get to transform back to being kids again, like leave all the nonsense in the rental car or your car at the field, go play paintball. And we get back in, it's all waiting for us. The nonsense, the phone's got 300 messages on it, but we can just deprogram for a little bit and just focus on having fun playing paintball. It's something we probably did when we were teenagers. Now we're to the back half of life, still doing the same thing and just having fun with it.
I was trying to find, there were a couple of questions in here.
I saw that.
I wanted to grab.
Will Crawdad 4 asked, Mike, how do you expect to handle the mental weight with the players with the possible struggles of, say, many losses? Not assuming that, but very well could happen, or heartbreaks of big moments in their first year. I mean, simple. Like I said earlier, you can't let one moment, define the whole season or the whole event or whatever it is. There's some pretty good pictures that were taken when we won Texas of me giving guys hugs. I think as a coach, our job is never to point out the 90% that's going right. I mean, don't get me wrong. I will give credit where credit is due, but if 10% is wrong, or, another analogy I always use is Kobe, and that probably goes back to my days with Mouse. If Kobe missed 10 shots and made 40, still an epic night. As a coach, we're talking about the 10 shots he missed, and they happen to be over in this area. So if we cannot be in that area shooting shots, and we can be over here where you made every shot, maybe instead of 80 points, we put in 90 points or whatever the number is. That's always the mindset. But then when you win an event, like we were lucky enough to pull out in Texas, you have a moment with your guys where those hugs probably mean a little bit more. That, eye to eye, soul to soul moment that you have with somebody just is deeper because you went through so much to get there. You know, it's not like we go to practice and we're practicing you guys for 20 points and everybody high fives and we're off to the movie theater or B-dub-dub or wherever you're eating. No, we go back to the room, and every loss, the professionals that we all deal with are internally look like, I lost a 1-on-1, we lost a 2-on-1, whatever it is, we're going back through that. And then when you finally pull out a W, you know, it's those, you can kind of take a deep breath and exhale for a second, but right back to it. I always say this: Sunday night, Monday morning, when the jet tires leave the runway and we're heading up into the air, I think for all the coaches, everything becomes real clear what we should have done. We should have put an extra body here. We should have, like Texas for the Russian Legion, there was 2 guys in the center brick. None of us did that in practice. You know what I mean? But for us, everything becomes real clear. The kaleidoscope clicks one more time over and everything's clear again, and you realize what you should have done. So in those moments that we don't win or we don't have the success we want, we go back to it, we talk about it. And again, there's other times as a coach, I like when we lost a preferred mob in Cincinnati with them, like we watched the video, but it was like, man, these dudes, everywhere they shot, we had a body heading that way. You know what I mean? We bobbed, and when we should have weaved on that one, and they just flat out beat us. You know what I mean? And that's another part of paintball. If my team and your team, whatever team that is, we are 50-50 equal match. We can play that game 100 times. You are not going to see the same results 100 times. Mm-hmm. I mean, you could mathematically have the same score, sure, but you're going to see different things that happen. And that's a great thing about paintball, I think.
Yeah, the scenario would be different every time.
No, you know, if we were playing a video game like Madden and you get the guy that's ranked 99 or 100 or whatever the top ranking is, that guy's going to win a lot. But in paintball, the 50% guy can win just as much as the 100% guy on any given Sunday, right? Now, if I have to play the Russian Legion 100 points in a row, probably not going to go as well for me, right? But on any given Sunday, that can happen.
That's true. Very true.
That's what we want to play 100 points if we can.
I was going to say you went right into it.
We want to.
Yeah, that's where he wants.
We can play 100. Let's go.
Yeah,
just not at practice.
You guys are good here.
We're not going to do that at practice.
Christian of In the Pits Paintball podcast. Another question for Mike: between coaching, owning a pro team, and now running 3 regional leagues, how will you manage your schedule to make sure you're getting enough prep time with your rookie team?
So to be totally fair with that, with our lower divisional teams, yes, on this weekend at SC Village or next weekend or the following weekend when it's our off season, any team that's out there, it's not just our teams. I'll work with anybody. Like, again, a Taco Killers, another team I bring up. They're a local SC team. Some of the Femme Fatales play with them. You know, anybody that asks me my opinion, I'll gladly share it. I am open to everybody. But once the season begins and we get into like the WC or anything USXBL related, I have nothing to do with that. Like David on Collision, David runs the premier lines and all that. I sit on the spectator side and watch. Like there's no game planning. Our layouts are always blind. The guys see it when everybody else sees it. There's no collusion. If anything, I would absolutely say the Collision guys are reffed at a much higher level because I think the refs know, I know who they are. And if they have a problem, they can come talk to me about it, you know, and they win and lose just like anybody else. So on our lower divisional, that's not really my job, right? I believe there's some other coaches that are part of our camp, paid coaches that help out with those divisional teams. So they kind of have their own brain trust that they can consistently rely on, if that makes sense. Yeah. But between all the leagues, I mean, it's going to be a busy season for us, but anybody that has a full-time job out there that does whatever you all do, it's just a full-time job. You know what I mean? And if you treat it like that, then, you know, there's no USXBL WC, the layout weekends, right? If there's 1-2 weekends before, I don't know if there is, but if there is, we would just practice a weekend before that tournament layout and then to the event, you know? So I believe it's manageable.
There it is. I love it.
Yeah. It's a good question though. Cause
it really was. Cause we were all thinking that
no, there's no way.
You're going to be pretty busy.
You're so busy.
Yeah. But like for yourself, Mike, and like Ryan, you deal with the Russian Legion, but your developmental side of it, right? Mike, for you with the Jungle Cats, I believe, I don't know if all the teams came over with the Jungle Cats from BR or how that works, but you have a bunch of divisional guys underneath you.
Correct.
I love all those guys. Like I can name every guy on our lower divisional teams. I just don't have time, and neither would any of us. Even if we took out USXBL, WCBL, I didn't run any paintball tournaments or a paintball field, and I just showed up to work with our teams. That's all I had to do. Multiple lines is still too difficult, right? For one coach. Like, same with at the NXL, it's very difficult to be in a pro pit and then down on a semi-pro pit and on a D4 pit. Take names out of it. Just that many teams, you're spreading yourself too thin. When if you really have that much extra energy, you should probably be up on the pro field scouting teams you may play next event. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we have 3
100%.
coaches. Like, we can't do what we do without the number we have. We just can't.
And that's where, for me, we have multiple coaches in our pro organization as well. But for me, like at those regional events, plus there's conflict of interest, right? Like, everybody knows that's been to a WC, you have a fair chance of winning. There's no, that's Mike's friend or whatever. Like, I don't care about it. My job is to make sure the best 2 teams get to the finals and then let it play out. You know what I mean? That's my goal. So for us at my events, that is my number one. The reason I've been able to do it for 17 years and not lose my league and implode it like countless other leagues have done is because it has to be fair. That's bottom line.
Love it. Those are the 2 questions I saw.
Totally. I mean, anybody out there is always welcome to reach out and message me, right? Like, my phone's lighting up right now. Like, I always have time for anybody. Even if we've never met, send me a message. Like, I do my best to respond to every person out there because we've all been there, right?
Yeah.
Oh, this is great.
There was
And
a
as
young
coaches-
person. Oh, I'm
yeah.
sorry.
We were putting up the same one. Yeah.
We were going for the same one.
Yeah.
Question by Ruby Lucky 308, one of my favorite rounds. Question, brand new to the sport and just wanted to say thank you for all you do for the sport. Started playing rec ball and hope to one day play speedball in D6. Any advice on getting there?
I mean, just have fun playing paintball. That's why we're all here. Like, as great as the game is at the top level, pro or semi-pro or whatever you want to call it, the upper divisions, it still comes down to one thing. You have to enjoy the smell of opening a bag of paint up, filling your hopper up, filling your pods up, getting out of the car at the field, making sure you leave your keys in the gas tank so you don't lose them for the 300th time. Like, the routine of it. But have fun playing paintball. I can't. I think I'm misjudged a lot that people don't think I'm having fun or I'm like overly serious all the time. I'm a grown child, right? Like, I'm a 45-year-old kid. My wife's shaking her head, yes, because just who I am. You know what I mean? The people that really know me. I just have fun playing paintball. And, you know, when you are ready to make that step into D6 on all of our leagues from the West Coast to Florida, if you've never played a tournament, your first D6 3-man entry is covered by us. It's free entry to play any of my leagues. If you're a new tournament player that wants to come play paintball, reach out to us. It probably won't be me. It's Tracy on the other end of that. But please come play tournament paintball. Like, come be part of it. Because as fun as it is to play tournament paintball on the competition side of it, it's the brotherhood and the family that we all have at the paintball field that happens. I mean, I think more happens off the field than on the field, short of the pro division. Do you know what I mean? Like, there is an unexplainable presence and aura about being at a paintball tournament, right? It's truly our happy place. So that's my 2 cents. You know, when you feel like your time is ready, feel free to reach out. I'll answer any questions you have. And D6, you know, 3-man is, you know, that was MSXL. Aaron was the one who started that. And I think it's great for paintball. You know, I think you can get new people. Again, they may not look like the pro level players doing it, but they're having fun competing at a paintball tournament. And there's something in all of our DNA that competition is a cornerstone, right? Like, if the 3 of us, all pretty, very good friends, mild-mannered individuals with each other, go to a go-kart track, I'm kicked out of their first go-round.
Yeah. Rubbin's racing, Mike. You better watch out. Rubbin's racing.
Yeah.
Totally. And that's just, and that we could be doing bowling. We could be doing, like, no matter what it is, we are all, as humans, we are all super hyper competitive. And I think coming into tournament paintball, that's why we do it, right? Because the walk on, we start mastering that. And now we see those airball fields and those guys with the, you know, the gear, the guns. we were all at one point on this side of the field, looking onto that side of the field, wishing we could be one of those guys. And then we became one of those guys. And I think that door is open for anybody that decides to do it. Like,
I'm so glad you're here with this question, because you can help with this, because I do say it all the time, but people don't listen. So said, it would be nice to have an NXL event in California. It would be super nice to have an NXL event in California. There's multiple problems with the amount of space that it requires to put up the traveling circus. Tom has been to California probably 5 times, California, Arizona, Utah. He's been to multiple places on the West Coast to try to put an event. We have a real space problem. Yeah, Mike, can you help people understand how much space? Because you run leagues,
yes,
where you
space is a huge issue. But another problem we have in California is let's just call it what our politics are so insane that before Tom was Tom, we had Lane Wright and the PSP. They went to Pomona Fairgrounds inside of a horse track, grass, beautiful grass field. We had horrible rain, but because of the paint that was left there, Lane would always tell the story. Years later, they were getting calls at the PSP that they owed some fines to the city because there was paint and EPA rules and stuff like that. It's not easy. Like Geo at SC Village absolutely has had California state, health or environmental people show up, test the paint on the ground. We have a lot of China paint that comes into the West Coast that's got recycled oil from deep fryers and stuff like that in it, and mold growing in it. California is not a business friendly place to conduct business as a paintball field. We have the highest population density, right, in Southern California. Yeah. We don't have that many fields left. I can name every airball field in Southern California. Right now, I believe there's 6 to 7 total locations that have airball fields. That's LA, San Diego, Orange County, all of it. 6 to 7 locations total that have it. So that's probably a huge issue that Tom deals with. And ultimately, if you're coming into California, now you're talking about LA, like LAX, where flights would be decently cheap. We've gone to Sacramento. Summertime, it's pretty warm up there. Sacramento's not cheap to fly into.
No, it was terribly expensive.
Trust me, we would love nothing more than to not go 3 time zones away every time we have to go to a tournament. I think Vegas is still probably the best target area, or Phoenix would probably be the next, because those are 200 to 300 miles from Southern Cal from my house. But I think Arizona, those are places you can go buy a piece of property that's commercial or no limitations on it and build a paintball field. Yeah. You come out here and try that. Wayne at ASG, which is a friend of mine, he bought his property and there was some plant at the back of it that, again, I'm sure he could clear the story up, but there was some protected plant back there. And we're not talking about bald eagles. We're not like some random plant they found back there. And a huge chunk of that land was taken under eminent domain. And that was the end of it. You can't play paintball out there anymore. So I think it's just very tough for Tom to try that. As much as Tom catches hand grenades for everything he does, and I don't think it's fair, I wouldn't if I was him. I would do Phoenix or Las Vegas. And Las Vegas, there was that article that came out that they left too much paint behind. That is not accurate to why I believe the NXL is not back there. They built that park out with, soccer, like turf soccer pads for people to play soccer all year round, that there's just not enough space there. Remember the last year they had it? I wasn't there, but I saw the top view of it. The fields were very spread out, right?
And they were also like this.
Yes.
Totally. Yes. Because that main strip that he used to have, where there was like 4 divisional fields, butt to butt to butt to butt, that was flat, was just gone because they turned those into soccer fields or whatever. So I think they're just running out. And I believe also there was UNLV, Tom told me, had another location where they could have fit a NXL size event, but due to transgressions of the PSP, they just didn't want paintball back on their nice grade A level grass. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was where we played that. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So again, it would be awesome to be able to go to the West Coast, but it's just unfortunate that it's incredibly challenging to find. But Tom tries real hard.
Yeah.
I think it's like 5 times a year he's out there.
A year and a half ago, Decay of Nations, which was September, so a year and a half September, we had a big meeting there, Billy Saransky, Tom, myself, a bunch of us, an impromptu meeting at Decay of Nations. And Tom was like, man, I'm leaving here. I'm going to Vegas. I'm going to here. Like, he was going all around the area looking for locations. It's just, at what point do you keep spending money flying everywhere, hotels, rental cars, to look at places that may or may not want you? You know what I mean? I think it's tough.
Yeah. It's tough. All right. Anything else, Mike?
No, man.
I think this has been great. I have loved every single. I got to be a fan tonight, and Mike, don't take this wrong, but I got to be a fan tonight because we would ask a question, and then I just got to sit back and listen because, I'm going to listen to people like yourself, and I think everybody out there in the podcast land who's listening to this has gotten a lot out of this episode as well.
I appreciate it. There's one last question.
I'm in the pro division too.
I am glad to be there. Jacob Miller asked, how do I feel Florida USXBL skill will compare to Texas and Cali? Well, it's funny Jacob asked that because he's from Oklahoma's Mutiny. They won our Division 4 Texas. And then the next week with 5 guys, I believe, flew to California and won our Division 4 there. So I think the argument now can be rested that Texas teams can compete, or Texas region, Oklahoma, respectfully, can come to the West Coast and win. West Coast teams can go there and win. I believe Florida is a hotbed of talent. You know what I mean? To me, before fit, and Texas is always, right back when you were on Texas Storm, like Texas has always had gritty human beings. There's let's not debate that. You know what I mean? But Florida, like California, has a weather advantage where they just don't deal with freeze, right? World Cup was 42 degrees on Wednesday and everybody was losing their mind, right? Because it was so cold. Whereas you get up into the top half of the United States, it's frozen right now. You know what I mean? So, and there's snow and it's very difficult to play paintball. It's going to be 72 degrees and sunny at SC both days this weekend. So for Florida, I believe coming in, there's a lot of NXLs there. There's a regional league there, right? To be totally fair. We had just been reached out to by enough players that had asked us to come out there. And then Jason Edwards is a friend of mine, been a friend of mine for a long time, offered up his field to run events at. And I think for regional events, I don't think we should be copying what Tom does. Like I said earlier in the show, you got to give credit where credit is due. Tom has done a great job. A lot of people in paintball then would go copy his idea and then try to dilute his idea down. That's Tom's idea. Let him run those style of events. We, as regional events, would like to work with fields because I would point at Texas. Fit always had 3 fields, but now they've got a 4th and a 5th one, I was told. I know there's a 4th turf field sitting in the lower parking lot that they can pole and net. That's good. X Factor added another field. We know that San Antonio area is really doing well right now. So for us, if we can help go into Florida, help Legacy, at the end of the day, we're paying money to be there. It's not like it's free for us to be there. We're paying money and helping to build that infrastructure. And I think regional leagues should do that, right? Like the BR guys had the Northern Georgia League that they're a part of. It's good. You're buying scoreboards, you're helping bunker sets are not cheap, right? $6-7 grand a piece. You're helping to build that local infrastructure because a lot of podcasts out there would tell you that paintball is going like this. But if you talk to a lot of field owners and our industry people, they would tell you it's probably the opposite, right? Like it's been, our economy's been in a tough place. It's been a tough year or two for paintball.
I don't know what podcasts are saying it's going like that. It's not. We've had 17,400 tournament players for the last 10 years. It's like this.
There's 2 main podcasts and it's not figure hard. And again, I'm not throwing stones. It's just, there's a narrative that many of these podcasts push out there. And the rest of us are sitting here like, where the fuck? Like maybe in your side of the world, but like over here in regional paintball land, we're not in, just like Ryan said, 17,400. My number I always use is between 17 and 18,000 since 2009.
Yeah.
We've been between those 2 numbers, which is good. We have a good amount of people playing. Like I said, world wars kick off, all kinds of craziness in our world, COVID. People are still going to play paintball. But we all have, the one thing I'm always scratching my head about, my wife and I talk 365 days a year about it, is that as an industry, 17 years I've been running regional tournaments. And I've never had somebody come to me and say, why don't we do it this way? Because there's a legitimate path to bringing more people and growing the pie. I truly don't think our industry knows how we grow the game. I think there's a lot of well-intentioned people, but who are you going to call, guys? Pick out those industry phones, because let's not use last names. They're all first names with us. Who are we going to call tomorrow and say, how do we grow paintball? That could actually give us an idea, and especially me as a regional guy with 4,000 or 5,000 unique players a year coming through my leagues, to help us grow this. Like the D6 beginner paintball, we all need to be doing that.
That's in the industry right now?
Yeah. Who even understands the life cycle of our players?
No one.
Right.
I think I mean, obviously, as somebody who's worked in the industry, you know, with National Paintball and then Key Action Sports, and, you know, worked with all those guys, none of them. I wouldn't call any.
And I agree with you. And I'm not throwing stones. I'm just saying there's people that livelihoods and massive investments depend on the health of our industry. Like pro paintball is not going to get better until that 17,000 becomes 34,000.
Right. Yeah, agree.
At the end of the day, you know, if Eclipse or Lux or GI or fucking HK, the paint and gun companies, had twice as much volume, it would be easier, respectfully, for Joey and the Jungle Cat guys to ask somebody for 20 or 30 or 40 guns, because the industry would be like, we're doing well, we can afford to give more out. Right. Instead, this year's sponsorship, like, you know, I'm very close with GI and other companies around, and just friend to friend conversations happening, no names attached to it. It was like, man, this is going to be a rough off season for a lot of teams. You know, I mean, Ryan, you're part of one of the most successful organizations we've seen in the sport. You guys are buying a lot of that paint, correct?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't matter how much.
It's not a coincidence that we built an entire reball facility with a giant, I mean, we spent a ton of money to turf it and put a giant bubble over it so that we can shoot reball. It's not a coincidence that we did that. Right. Like, there's a financial reason that we had to spend that money. It's like, spend the capital on that now and have an asset, or continue to buy the consumable and get nothing.
Absolutely. And point of that being is, our industry, we have to grow this industry. And it's just, I hear all my friends that are pros talking about sponsorship and money, and the day, you know, back in the day, there was pro teams that were getting 100+ markers a year. Yeah, now the top teams are getting less than 50% of that, and far less than that, right? Like, nobody's getting 100 gun deals anymore. Like, that's, you call Eclipse up and tell Jacko you need 100 guns. Click. Hello.
Yeah, he'll say what color, and when here's COD, and
yeah,
I can get you 100 guns, no problem.
What was your invoice, or what was your email?
That's
you
right.
haven't sent me that invoice over. Write me out.
That's right.
I mean, so it's just the reality of where we are in paintball right now. And again, it's not going anywhere. It's just, we have to temper our expectations. We have to build the grassroots level of paintball back, and then from there, I think we will see more growth at the top. But it's crazy to think that the top of the tree is going to keep growing if the base of it doesn't get wider.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So I saw one more that popped up. Lex Fire. What do I expect the turnout of the first Florida event? And you believe the skill level is a big difference from West to East Coast ball? No, I mean, my expectations were USXBL hasn't been in Florida. It's going to take us a year for that name to become a household name. This is a 3-year process for us. Tracy, myself, Ryan, our staff here, we know, like, if we had one team at the first event, we would give them the money. That's how it would go, and we just keep doing it. It's part of running a business. Do I think the East Coast guys, I mean, listen, man, watching the ragtag guys, and I've mentioned them before, I'm going to mention them again, the West Coast, born and raised kid out of San Diego, like, those ragtag dudes out of the Panhandle and down through Florida, like, those guys played amazing paintball last year. I watched Jet Ski, that's now with Aftershock, play 3-dimensional paintball at multiple events where he's here and then moves over here, and pro level moves out of a young man. Even where I started calling people, and I'm like, man, this kid's really good. You know what I mean? Why hasn't he been picked up by one of these other teams? And, you know, he hadn't been in it long enough. Those kind of questions are, you know, responses came back to me, but I'm not surprised to see him now on a pro team, because I thought he was good enough this whole year to be on a pro team.
Now, I did a clinic for ragtag last year, and I got to tell you, I know why they're seeing success. Those guys are motivated. They understand what's necessary and what has to be done. Right. And I spoke to their owner for a while before the clinic even began. And man, they've got the right attitude. They've got a good setup down there too.
And listen, on the field, they're monsters.
Yes.
Off the field, gentlemen. Like as far 100%. As I'm concerned, and it was funny, right? Like here's a California guy running a Texas league, a Florida team coming in, right? You win $6,000 an event plus 12 grand on the overall. They walked home the last event with 18,000 in cash in their hand. You know what I mean? Which is for regional paintball, I feel is very good. But we never had it like, it was the Florida guys coming in, taking, Texas has pride, right? Like it's their region. They don't want somebody coming into their house, snatching that money up. You know what I mean? And those guys were class acts the whole time. Like I was almost sad to hear that they're going to play D2 this year, which we don't have in Texas or Florida yet.
Right.
Because it's like, man, they're just really good human beings. You know what I mean? And I think there's so many great stories in paintball like that we could talk about until the sun comes back up in the morning.
100%.
But I do think there's a ton of talent. I think Florida for many years has had a ton of talent, from the Damage days to the Strange days to the Annihilators to like, you just keep going further back, and there's always been talent down there. You know what I mean? So hopefully with multiple leagues going down there, and, Tiki's or Thunder Valley is a big field. Legacy, I was out there, they have multiple turf fields now. Anywhere you can be where there's a lot of fields with airball bunkers, I think there will be a residual growth of paintball, just because there's places for people to play paintball. You know what I mean? Even if you play at some obscure small field and it has one airball field, well, big dog on it. You want some of it, Mike? Ryan, you want some of it, right? We're all locals at that field, so we start playing airball. And then sooner or later, we go to Legacy or we go to this field. We could live next door to Pebble Beach. We're still going to go to a different golf course at some point and kind of learn things. And if I can go out and learn from the Russians, or Shock was out there this weekend or next weekend or 2 weekends at Legacy, a bunch of teams are going in there to play. There's, hopefully those young teams come around and everybody welcomes them with open arms, and we can show these young players that path to the top.
Yeah.
Totally.
I'm all fired up now. I want to go play some paintball, actually.
Yeah, I just want to get back to seeing all my friends at the events, like running events.
You said that earlier. You were talking about the feeling like big, right? Where you get to become a kid again. Like for me, going to the events, like it's kind of same old until I get that first person that's like in the distance that's walking toward me, and I start to feel different, because that person always, like, I'm excited to see them. I'm excited to have that quick catch up conversation that literally is going to start where the last one left off months ago. Right. Yeah. Like that for me is the deal. Like when I go to the event, and like Dan Shelley, is one of those guys, like I'll see him walking at me and I immediately feel better. Right.
Yep.
And I'm like, I'm about to get to hug him and have a great conversation. And, that's what the events for me now. Again, it's just the community. It's the people. Yeah. It just makes me feel better when I'm there.
Absolutely. Because one thing with paintball, especially, right? Like nobody quits paintball. We all take breaks from it, right? Like you pointed out, I've taken breaks. I've just got things going in my life. I've got a bunch of kids, got a family, multiple businesses we run. So, sometimes you have to take a step back, but there's no expiration date on true friendship.
Right.
Yeah. Like if I stepped back tomorrow, and whatever reason, we all didn't talk. In 10 years, if I was going through the Atlanta airport and I saw one of you guys, exactly what Ryan just said would happen, where you're like, man, like that dude, and you brought it up earlier. I came from the Bushwhackers. Once Ron Kilborn retired out of paintball, he retired out there in Arizona somewhere. Mm-hmm. And he would always show up to every NXL in Vegas. And there would be Ron in his Dickie pants, normal Ron Kilborn. Like if you know Ron, it was the same Ron Kilborn. Yeah. And but like Ryan said, when you saw him, you're like, man, I'm looking for, like, I'm more excited for that than a high school reunion. You know what I mean? Like, I know those schools are going to be losers. You know what I mean? But like, I just actually see the fans.
That is exactly right. I don't even go to those. Like, literally, my wife, I had my 30-year reunion this year, and she's like, "Are you going?" And I was like, "No."
Totally.
No, everybody from high school that I want to see and I want to talk to, I do. Like, I don't know those people. I would no.
But if there was a paintball reunion and we started dropping some names like, the old Strange guys or some of the old Texas Storm guys, they showed, I mean, like USXBL, we had the one, the older division, the ancient old guys division.
Masters
From Addicted, Mafia showed up. Remember, like, off, like, and I have some crazy stories about that dude back in the day when I was just a young kid trying out for Addicted, and they're talking about stuff way over my head. And he shows up and he's wearing the jersey, and like, I run that league, you know what I mean? He knows who, but I went up and like shook his hand. Like, I'm like, man, like a kid, you know what I mean? Like, bro, hey, 15, 20 years ago when I drove here from California, I know you didn't know me, but you were a super good dude to me. And I just want to say thank you, you know what I mean? Because that's paintball. And if we knew there was a Texas reunion, shit, I might show up at it. Because when I see some of those names, Stephen Hicks or whatever, I got in a fight with those guys up at Shock, a full out melee.
I was there.
You know what I mean? And like,
I was in the melee.
Man, my buddy that walked up and shot you in the face, and then you threw him around like a rag doll. Like, just good to finally see you and not be in a fist fight with you. You know what I mean? But
I think Steven ended up like stomping his head. Like,
one of your kids punched Nikki Cuba and was trying to run around a table, cracks Nikki, and Nikki could take a dump truck, right? So that's not going to work. And the kid's like, one of the ladies was like, don't hit him. He's only 18. And that moment, you could see like Nikki's head like cocked and was like, he punched me and he's 18. Yeah.
Nick, and then Nick, I think it was Nikki and Avery were like just teeing off on each other in the middle of the field.
Oh, it was gnarly.
Yeah, and then we were like, all right, you guys ready to finish practice? And I don't know, Danny, I think, was just yelling and screaming, and you guys ended up leaving. And God, that was what a stupid day that was.
But that's paintball, right? And then once we get to the other side of it, we all look back at it, and the most grizzled, hardened veteran of this game lightens up and has tears in his eyes, laughing at the ignorance and stupidity that we've all done throughout the years. Or as they say, doing hood rat stuff with my friends. Like, that's just part of the game. You know what I mean? Like I said, there's as much that happens off the field as on the field. You know what I mean?
Right.
100%. Well said.
Yeah. And now like all of those guys, nothing but love and respect for all of them.
Totally. No matter who it is, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I hope issues never come to that place. But if they do, we have some real people in paintball that are willing to get there. You know what I mean? But afterwards, as gentlemen, maybe there was like we got into it with the preferred mob guys. I have nothing but respect for those guys. Like, I really do. It's not like I'm over here like putting a bad juju on them or putting a curse on them or something like that. We just had a difference of opinion. This is how it went. We can either keep going down that road or we can be friends. And much in life, in grade school too, we'd get into it and then end up being best friends afterwards. You know what I mean? That's just
totally
the way the world works sometimes.
Well, I think the hood rat comment is a great place to stop this show.
I agree.
Oh, goodness gracious. No, you're not. Nobody's going to let you.
I know.
We're going to keep it living forever, pal. So, Mike, thank you so much for joining us. Can't wait to have you back on. Let's try to touch base maybe after the second event, get you back in, kind of see what's going on. Is it going the way we wanted it to go? What are we doing now?
I'm glad to come on. Ryan, was it Saturday morning you text me? I think I responded within 20 seconds. I was like, yep.
Yeah, you did. It was, and I was literally like, damn, it's pretty early. Like,
we were on the way to the paintball field. We're going around the field.
Makes perfect sense. Yeah,
I love it.
Definitely. Thank you to BKI out there. Thanks for tuning in. If there's anything I can ever do for anybody out there, please feel free to reach out to me one-on-one. You see me at an event, walk up, say hi. I promise you, a 45-year-old kid just living his dream. You know what I mean? Doing things my way. And I'm super happy to have friends like you guys and everybody out there, and super happy to be a part of it.
Yeah,
God bless you, man. Love it, man.
Thank you to BKI.
Have a good night. I'm gonna hop off. Tracy made dinner and is walking it over to me. So
please tell your lovely bride, Grace, we said hello. I miss her already.
Hey, hello. She went like this.
Tell her to stick her face in here so we can say hi to her.
Hi.
There she is.
Hey. All right, buddy. Have a great night.
You guys have a good night. Everybody out there, have a good one.
God bless, brother. Talk
later,
to you
brother.
soon.
See ya. All right.
Dude, always the real deal, right? Always a pleasure.
Yeah.
You're not gonna he's not pulling any punches. He's going straight to the point.
We had 9 questions. I think we asked 4.
I know.
because you
It's
had
just,
7 and I
but
added 2.
I think he kind of answered a lot of
He
some
did.
of the earlier questions, right? And
Mhm.
you and I have these questions prepared, and we didn't have to use any of them because he
Yeah.
just literally, right? He knew exactly what we were after, and he just answered it. And that's what I loved.
I'd
That's why I
sent him
just
some.
Oh,
some
did you?
bullets,
Because I
too.
just sat
Yeah.
here, man, and I'm just listening, going, yeah, that too.
And I love his
it.
perspective. Yeah, I love his perspective. And also because he sees it from the grassroots side, with the leagues and, sees kind of that young developing tournament paintball and how it's cultivating and how honestly he's kind of a big part of the curation of it, right?
100
And what it looks like. And I think his leagues are a big part of the success, especially the sort of return of success to California paintball and some of the teams we've seen come out of there. And then also big part of what's been happening in Texas since the changeover, from the previous ownership of USXBL now to Mike. There are a lot more teams. And, he brought up Jacob Miller, the OKC Muni guys, they practice here in Oklahoma City at a place called Epic, and they work their asses off to be able to go down there and hang with those guys. You're talking about a market of, 1 million people here in Oklahoma City. There's 3.5 million people in the 90 miles that surround the DFW Metroplex. You know what I mean? That's our entire state of Oklahoma's 3 million people. And that's how many people are in that 90 miles. So, and I think he's a big part of what spurs kind of that motivation. So big deal.
Yeah. Well, and someone said that in the comments. Angry Martinez 2-0. Mike is doing big things, far more than people realize or appreciate. So, SC Village is home for me, and I appreciate having a place to go and put in the work. So, I mean, and the comments are full of that, right? So it's great having Mike on. It's great having Mike on your side, right? Especially if you want to get in a fight. So.
Yeah. Again, I've been in a fight with him. Yeah. I fortunately didn't come face to face with him during that brawl, but that day he's talking about, I remember very, very well.
No brawls over 30 years for me on a field, off a field. Yes. And at a place after an event. Yes. And at a couple of practices, but never at an event.
No, this was a practice.
Oh, it was a practice.
This was a practice. Yeah. We were in Chicago at the Badlands playing Aftershock. So we took
mine
the
was
whole
one-on-one though. It wasn't a team
Storm squad
thing.
Oh, ours was everybody was fighting. I mean, it was they were guys were fighting over here, and it was just spread out. The guys that were on the Dorito side, basically just dropped their guns and kind of ran at each other as the chaos was sort of happening. It was wild, dude. I'm so honestly so happy those things don't happen anymore.
Agreed.
Just so stupid, man. Just hurts your hands and just wild. So anyway, thank you guys so much for joining us tonight on episode 98. Thank you to BKI and Maxt Sportswear for your continued support of the Coaches Show. Thank you to Major League Paintball, Major League Paintball Plus, Tom Cole, Kevin Fillers, Darren Sesna, and Amanda Maltz. Next week, Kyle Spica, new addition to the Dynasty coaching staff. So we'll have Kyle on. Really excited to have Kyle. I think got a really good brain. Love to talk some paintball stuff with him, strategy. Talk about what his role is going to look like on Dynasty. Had a couple of other opportunities that I'm hoping he'll talk a little bit about, because I was hoping he'd go a different direction, but really happy to see him back with his friends on Dynasty. For Mike Bianca, I'm Ryan Gray. As always, be responsible. See you guys next week.